Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. Hi, I'm Joe Mishka. Welcome to another episode of Rural Heritage TV. Earlier this year, Jason Julian was in a field near his Medford, Wisconsin farm, first running a rototiller off his power fork cart behind 4 horses, then later seeding the tilled ground with the same 4 horses. When he was done, Jason took me inside his home to talk about how he hooks multiple hitches like the 4 he had just been using. Using a dry erase board, he talked about how he runs the lines and spacer straps between the horses when using 3, 4, and 5 abreast. Then we went out and demonstrated in person the configurations he had just outlined on the board. Of course, there are a number of ways to do certain things. As Zach Odom told me the other day, 4 plus 1 makes 5, but so does 2 plus 3. That said, Jason is pretty emphatic his system works best for him, and he explained why.
The biggest question I get all the time, either through students or Facebook or messaging, I want to hook 3 abreast. And I love 3 abreast. I use 3 abreast a lot. It's a 2-cylinder with a turbo. I can take 3 abreast and take my log loader into the woods. When I get to the woods, I can pull this middle horse out or 1 horse off and have a single horse for skidding and have a team. When you see in a second how I hitch this, I usually pull the middle horse out for single skidding, put these 2 together, and I have a team. So the single horse might do 40% of the skidding, and the team might do 60%, depending on what size timber I'm in. It's so versatile. I get a bunch of wood skidded out. I put them back together as 3 abreast, throw them on the fork cart with a log loader, and I'm moving wood out to the landing. 3 horses, 1 guy. It's super.
We now have 4 volumes of America's Rural Yesterday books with photos of farm life 100 years ago. Fieldwork has images of horses in the fields working the ground, planting, and harvesting the crop. Barn and Farmyard shows farmers putting that crop in the barn, silo, or corn crib and caring for poultry, hogs, cattle, and more. In At Home and in Town, farm families prepare Sunday dinner, relax in the parlor, drive to town by buggy or wagon, and visit the general store. Finally, Early Tractors has over 250 photos of early American tractors like Alice Chalmers, Oliver, John Deere, Farmall, Minneapolis Moline, and many more. These photos are of new tractors back in the day and show how they were configured coming out of the factory. Buy any of these books for $24.95 plus shipping. When you buy 2 or more, the price per book goes down, all the way to $17.49 per book when you buy all 4. To order, just call 1-877-647-2452 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. That's 877-647-2452.
We're going to call them Jason's rules. It doesn't mean it needs to be everybody's rules, but they're the rules that's kept me alive for 17 years of working horses continuously for a living. So the main line, we're going to make this the left line. Goes through the hame ring to the bit. This main line goes to this horse, to the hame ring to the bit. A cross check is red. So we're going to have a cross check come off this main line, go through this horse's hame ring. Your outside 2 horses still carry the lines just like a team. And goes to the main horse's, I call this the main horse. Yep. She is your anchor. He is your anchor. Through this hame ring to this horse's bit. So now in 3 abreast, the only horse you have 2 lines on to your hands is that main horse. That horse needs to be dependable. That horse needs to whoa verbally, not have meltdowns. No, any horse at any time for any reason can. But this is a numbers game, a betting game. And this is the horse that you need to bet on that's going to hold up. What do we say is a spacer strap? Red dotted is a spacer strap. This horse is also driving half of this horse's mouth and half of that horse's mouth for you. So now you're driving 6 sides, 3 horses' mouths, but you're not holding it all. That horse is, this horse here, we'll call her Holly, needs to be dependable. She needs to hold half the other horse's mouth. When you say G, she needs to go right. When you say haw, she needs to go left. When you say whoa, she needs to stop. It doesn't matter if there's a stick up underneath her, a fly is biting her. The cart just tipped over. When you say whoa, she needs to stop. Even if these 2 3-year-olds that you have bucked back to her, because they are essentially bucked back to her, Hames, are freaking out. That horse needs to be dependable. Let's go troubleshooting. This horse here and this horse here, and you're like, well, I'm doing it like I seen on Rural Heritage that Jason Julian liar said. My hitch looks terrible. They're going straight and they're out. Their heads are turned out.
Right.
Shorten your spacer straps. You have your adjustment on your cross checks on your main lines. Shorten your spacer straps first. When you pull left or right, see if this horse is responding at the same time of these. If you're pulling on this outside horse and you're pulling on her poor little mouth and she can't go to the right because Holly hasn't even begun to come, right, you need to move your cross check backwards on your main line and get control of Holly better. When you go right or left, you should see Holly's head go at the same time or maybe even an instant before, because that poor horse with this spacer strap cannot go right. This poor horse cannot go left unless Holly does it. Another reason why Holly has to be on the ball. So now you need to picture a bit. Here's a bit of your left-hand horse. Here's the bit of your rock-solid horse you put in the middle. And here's a bit of your right-hand horse. These are snapped up to her hame rings. So she's running half of the mouths of your outside horses. You get to the woods, it's no big deal. Unsnap her, take these off. You maybe have them tied to a tree, take her out of the middle, put them back together as a team. You got your single skidding horse right out of the middle of your hitch. Put it together at the end of the day and pull the log loader out. So there's 3 abreast, and we'll demonstrate that in a hitch. So just like we're doing team lines, continuous line. It's going over Eve to make her the right-hand horse. The cross check is going through Eve's hame ring, just like you would for a team. I like it dominant over the spacer strap, so that'll go to Holly. I come around here, put it through the hame ring. Just knowing your horses. Eve is faster than Holly, that's why she's on the outside. But I also hook her low in the bit because she's kind of hard in the mouth. She says, you carry lines for 14 years. Work every day, see if your mouth don't get a little... Over. That's part of that stall manners right out here. Continuous line, going over this horse just like a team lines. Cross check, going through her rings to Holly again. Make some room, over the spacer strap. So that's kind of how it is. I already know my spacer straps are pretty close to good. Your team should all drive straight, otherwise it's just adjusting. And really, once they get tuned in, 3 abreast should be no different than driving a team. It's just about as handy. When you get to 4 and 5, I'll grant you, things get bigger and horses have to be a little bit more broke. But really, 3 abreast is... it's about my most favorite useful hitch. Adds a lot of power. Team haw. If it's hitched right, and I come by you, all their noses should be even doing field work. Holly should be holding them back. Holly shouldn't be out in the lead. When I hit them left, Holly should come as fast as that outside horse. Otherwise, that outside horse has no chance to get away, because Holly's holding her spacer strap. If I start pulling right, Holly should go as fast as that horse. Otherwise, Eve can't go because Holly's got half of her mouth. That outside horse has to keep up. Whoop. Back, Eve. G, Holly. G, Holly. Back, Eve. Back. Back. Oop. I think that's fairly maneuverable. I don't even, granted the horses are broke, but team.
Hi, I'm Joe Mishka of Rural Heritage Magazine. I'm on location of one of the many events we cover that celebrates our rural heritage. If you enjoy our show, check out our magazine, where you'll learn more about the people that blend the past with what works today. You can save almost 20% off the newsstand price by subscribing at ruralheritage.com or chat with us at 877-647-2452. That's toll-free, 877-647-2452.
So we have another set of lines. Actually, we have a couple sets of them because we have enough horses now that when Joshua was home, sometimes I'd be in the field with 5 and he'd be in the field with 4 or 5. But we have an extra set of other sets of lines now that have an extra cross check. So remember, red is cross check. So this is a regular team lines. This green and red here is a regular team lines. And these just have an extra set of cross checks, and we can lay them out and measure them when we get outside. And they're farther back with their own set of adjustable holes. So on 4 abreast, the main line goes to the outside horse. We'll call this the left-hand line, the left-hand horse. The next cross check goes to that horse, but goes to the left-hand side of this horse. The extra cross check goes to the middle horse now, going to the first right-hand horse, but the left side of their mouth. Everything's the opposite over here. Right-hand horse to this right-hand side of the mouth. Other good middle horse to this horse's right-hand side of the mouth. Dotted is spacer straps. So you're using 2 spacer straps here with extra cross checks. And if you look at this, if you're just starting out with this, add some weight. Hook to a sled or a stone boat and get out in the field and just be patient. These 2 horses need to be darn tootin' good. If these 2 are not, tie their breeching rings to the good horses so you don't have your hitch fold inside out, because things can get real western in a hurry. So we'll just call this a breeching ring. Tie them together. And I don't mean a little bit. Tie them together. Use an extra lead line, whatever it takes. So your team doesn't go. If these 2 horses aren't that good, then you're not ready for 4 abreast anyways. You need to have one rock solid team. But you can put another lead line in between these 2. Keep their butts together so things don't. I think maybe you can edit in like when Duck turned out a little bit, hooking back to the rototiller at the end of the day.
Sure.
If I don't have a son there and I'm not perfectly calm, my other 3 are perfectly calm, that can get western in a hurry. But anyways, that's extra safety. So get hooked to some weight, get a stone boat, invite 3 or 4 of your largest friends and their cooler of beer, or put a round bale on it, or whatever. Maybe don't add the friends till you get this figured out. But then it's all just like we talked about in 3 abreast. Get your spacer. Your spacer straps are already going to be set from 3 abreast because you've been building up to this. I wasn't hatched and got here overnight. I started with 2 horses. Then pretty soon I needed 3. Then pretty soon, how do I do 4? Then how do I do 5? Then how do I do 6? This was a very progressive thing. When we have colts and stuff, we build them up. You try not to add more than 1 new thing a day. You're not looking to blow their mind. Everything is adjustable, just like tie rod ends on a vehicle. You're just adjusting like tie rods with these spacer straps and these cross checks. So there's 4 abreast.
So that's a set of lines that you have dedicated to this?
Yes, I don't take them extra cross checks off. We do this every day. You see that.
Sure.
So we have.
So for the guy that does it occasionally,
you could have these added.
Yeah, and so would you is that something you would do yourself? Was it take a?
I would have these made at a harness shop.
Yeah.
And hopefully me and you can get the measurements out there today, and you would have to punch extra holes in your main lines. Make sure these main lines don't cut any corners. Just because they were Grandpa's lines, if you want to keep Grandpa's lines, then great, oil them and hang them on the wall. These lines need to be good. 4 or 5 horses can pull a lot. I mean, look at my hands after all. They pull,
Right.
especially if your horses are fed up and in good shape.
Right.
Don't cut corners, and I was taught that starting by Robert. Don't cut corners on bridles and lines. That's your life. So yeah, you could have one set of lines, team lines, and have extra holes punched in them and have extra cross checks made, but you wouldn't be able to have any buckles on the back because you're going to put these on from the rear then.
Right.
So you wouldn't have to. So back here, you're either going to be tying a knot or don't ever lose any lines. You saw me lose lines visiting with you this morning and they fell down in the evener just because I wasn't paying attention. Good thing I had good horses and Joe Mishka caught it. And, you know, but it can happen to anybody. So I like a buckle or a knot, but if you put a buckle on here, you can then not add them on.
Right.
So we just have dedicated lines.
Yep.
This is what I talk about. I like a buckle at the end of mine. So if you wanted to be able to put them on and off team lines, you couldn't have a buckle because you're going to have to load them from the rear. Michael, go that way so you're straight. Okay. Keep going, son. Okay, that's good, son. Lay it down. Michael, can you come help hold this?
Sure.
Can you hold it okay, we'll just check this first set of cross checks like a team. Hold it there. So he made these 72 inches again, like the first set of team lines we checked. Right. Normal team cross checks. Go back to the next one. Hold it tight. These are 7'7", 7'8", 92 inches, and they are, right now at my setting, I drive 4 and 5 abreast. You can maybe fine tune it a little bit between 4 and 5 abreast. Right now they are 22 inches farther back on the main lines. But it's not, if you didn't have that Conway buckle in the back, it's not very hard to add an extra set of cross checks and slide them on from the rear.
Right.
So we'll demonstrate that later on horses if you like.
The rural American countryside is still filled with historic old barns built a century or more ago, but they won't be standing forever. To commemorate and capture the images and stories of the old barns, Ohio native Bob Kruger began painting and writing their histories, and that's all come together in a new book called Historic Barns of Ohio. You can get your copy by calling 877-647-2452 or visiting ruralheritage.com. It costs just $23.99 plus $7 shipping. Call 877-647-2452.
Joe, I'd like to take a picture of this quick. So here's that long lead line going back to her britching ring. Through her belly band we talked about. Up out of the hay ring it would go to the colt. But because we tied it and it got stretched or something, it was a little long, I simply took another wrap, which is the quick and dirty way, and I go to the colt's halter now, because I'm going to drive him in the lines, but this is to the halter. So if he wants to run away with me, he has to pull his half the load and mom's half the load off of his halter. Notice I'm still not trying to ruin that colt's mouth. He can just pull it off that broadband halter. And they won't do it 10 feet, and they'll give that up.
Right.
And I'm not saying that as a guarantee. There's no guarantees in life, guys. So there he is. He's got to pull half a mom if he wants to run away with me. The team lines run this side, I think. Some people would watch me and think that he's pretty laid back or nonchalant about it. What they don't realize is I can talk to Joe Mishka and I'm still watching every detail of that horse. Generally, not much gets by me. So if I'm doing a young horse, like I'm going to brush this Levi horse and he's out of our breeding, that gives him quite an advantage because I had him the first 6 months and I know what his breeding is. But I'm also watching how he's reacting that day. It's only his third day in harness. This will be the third time he ever wore a harness and we're going to do chores with him. But I'm watching. So you can tell how reactive that horse is right away. So we're starting with the brushing. He doesn't have great stall manners yet for stepping over and stuff. But he's been allowed to be a horse the last year and a half to be on pasture and be a horse. But you're watching how reactive they are. And that, after you break 7 or 10 horses a year for 30 years, you can kind of tell what you're getting into. And I understand that my system wouldn't be for everybody. And there'd probably be a lot safer ways. It'd probably take a little longer. There'd be safer ways to do it. But we've done so many that we usually can tell. Levi, don't want to startle a horse. They're a prey animal. Step over. The minute he steps over, quit with the pressure. It did not take a treat. I am not a treat feeding person. New rule for Jason. So I got a new rule. I taught this the other day. With all this treat feeding and people loving the horses, I love my horses. But in ancient Greek, there was 5 different types of love, 5 different words for love. I don't love my horses the same as my kids or my wife, but I love my horses. But I have a new rule. If something can stand on your foot and you can tolerate it, make it a pet. Feel free. If something can stand on your foot and you can't tolerate it, do not make it a pet. It's livestock then. So I like Levi fine, but I can't tolerate him on my toes, so therefore he cannot become a pet. He has to have some space awareness and stay off me. And it seems like a simple thing to say, but get your foot stomped a few times. Or these horses that are fed treats constantly and they come and they're so orally fixated, they're nipping at everything, getting tangled in lines and spacer straps and cross checks and seeing you as a vending machine instead of as the leader. The brushing, he's not even dirty, but it's also setting him up. It's a routine. Over, Levi. It's setting him up for a routine that, oh, I know if I'm getting brushed, I'm probably getting the harness next. And I need to start dialing into Jason because he's asking me to step over. Good boy. And you're obviously checking where that collar goes, especially on a young horse. Checking for anything that isn't right. I see he learned some manners from that other gelding. Got a couple little war wounds for who eats first and who eats second. So he's clean. I'm going to do his mother now, Holly, and then I'll harness them both.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.